class we shall discuss John Dryden's biography and his critical contribution to literature. John Dryden was called the father of English criticism. He was born in the year 1631 and he passed away in 1700. Of the many critical treatises written by John Dryden, the most important are the Essay of Dramatic Poesy, which was published in the year 1668, and the Preface to the Fables, which was published in the year 1700, and it is the volume of translation from Homer, Ovid, Boccaccio and Chaucer. So next let's see the Dryden's vindication of the English drama. The French plays observe decorum but lack passion and the throb of life. French plays rigidly separate tragic and comic elements. But such representations are unrealistic. But in real life, tragedy and comedy are found mixed. Hence, the English tragicomedy is appreciated by Neander. The French plays are barren, which means empty, because they exclude comic underplots and episodes. Comparatively speaking, English plays bustle with action, including war and bloodshed. In French plays, such gruesome activities were only narrated or reported. But Dryden says that such dry narration is not relished by the English audience. They like only din and bustle, which means they like both comedy and tragedy as well. And next let's see the Dryden's appreciation of Shakespeare, Beaumont and Fletcher. Dryden's judgment of Shakespeare has attained classic rank by virtue of its keen insight. Dryden says that Shakespeare had the most comprehensive soul. He quotes that those who accuse him to have wanted learning gave him the greater commendation. He was naturally learned. He needed not the spectacles of books to read nature. He looked inwards and found her there. Repeat, those who accuse him to have wanted learning gave him the greater commendation. He was naturally learned. He needed not the spectacles of books to read nature. He looked inwards and found her there. Here the he refers to Shakespeare. Commenting on Shakespeare's demerits, Dryden says that he is many times flat, insipid, his comic wit degenerates into clunches and his serious swells into bombast. Almost Shakespeare uses bombastic words which the uneducated people or the low class people do not understand. An appreciation of Beaumont and Fletcher by Dryden. Dryden prizes Beaumont and Fletcher. They had the advantage of Shakespeare's wit, which means intelligent. So they had the advantage of Shakespeare's wit and their natural gifts were improved by study. Their plots were generally more regular than Shakespeare's. They reflected the wild debaucheries and the witty repartees of gentlemen much better than Shakespeare did. They represent all passions, especially love, in a lively manner. The theatre goers liked the gaiety in their comedies and the pathos in their more serious plays. This is the view on Beaumont and Fletcher by Dryden, and his view on Ben Jonson. Dryden regards Ben Jonson as the most learned and audacious writer which any theatre ever had. He had wit in abundance but used it frugally. He seldom concentrates on love in any of his scenes. In this he says, Ben Jonson seldom, rarely concentrates on love in any of his scenes. His character was too sullen, dull and souterrain to treat love gracefully in his plays. He freely borrowed from Greek and Latin authors. He invades them like a monarch. What would be theft in other poets is only victory in him. I repeat, Ben Jonson considers that, like a monarch, what would be theft in other poets is only victory in him. Comparing Ben Jonson and Shakespeare, Dryden says that Jonson is the more correct poet, but Shakespeare the greater wit. Wit means intelligent, here the very intelligent person. Shakespeare was the Homer or the father of our dramatic poets. Johnson was the Virgil, the pattern of elaborate writing. Dryden admires him, but he loves Shakespeare. Next, let's have a detailed note on Preface to the Fables, one of the important treatises by John Dryden. The fable is a collection of translation from Homer, Ovid, Boccaccio and Chaucer. In the preface to the fables, Dryden compares Homer and Virgil, Ovid and Chaucer. Now let's see the comparison between Homer and Virgil. After giving a brief history of English poetry from Chaucer to Waller, Dryden makes a comparative study of Homer and Virgil. He says that Virgil had a quiet temper, but Homer was violent. This is the contrast between them. Virgil had a quiet temper and Homer was violent, impetuous and full of fire. The very heroes show their authors. Homer's Achilles is hot, impatient, revengeful. Virgil's Aeneas is patient, considerate, careful of his people and merciful to his enemies, and ever submissive to the will of heaven. The author's character or their feature exposes in their characters in the work also. Virgil warms you by degrees, Homer sets you on fire all at once and never intermits his heat. Virgil persuades, Homer commands. So Virgil persuades and Homer commands. Next, the comparison between Ovid and Chaucer. Dryden observes that with Ovid entered the golden age of the Roman tongue. So I repeat, Dryden observes that with Ovid entered the golden age of the Roman tongue. From Chaucer, the purity of English tongue began because Chaucer uses the more purest language of English. Both were well-bred, well-natured, amorous and libertine. Both write with clearness and felicity. Both copied, Ovid taking his stories from the Grecian fables and Chaucer taking his from his Italian contemporaries or predecessors. Predecessor means one who lives before Chaucer. But Chaucer's Wife of Bath's Tale and the Cock and the Fox are his own inventions. Among all the work by Chaucer, all were taken from Italian contemporaries or his predecessors, but exceptionally Wife of Bath's Tale and the Cock and the Fox are his own invention. Dryden praises Chaucer as the father of English poetry. He also praises Chaucer's power of selection. Chaucer knew what to say and what not to say. Dryden praises Chaucer as a perpetual fountain of good sense. I repeat, Dryden praises Chaucer as a perpetual fountain of good sense. He was learned in all sciences and so spoke properly on all subjects. He knew when to say, what to say and when to leave off. A continence practiced by few writers. Among those few writers, Chaucer is the one. Dryden praises the verse of Chaucer. He quotes, "There is the rude sweetness of Scotch tune in it." There is the rude sweetness of Scotch tune in it. See the oxymoron, rude sweetness. And Dryden is all praise for Chaucer's capacity for drawing different types of characters. Chaucer's Canterbury Tales encompasses all the social classes in England in his time. The characters are differentiated from one another not only in their occasion but in their very physiognomies and habits. Finally, Dryden broke new ground in several matters. He is the father of historical criticism, relating literature to its historical surroundings. Thus, he says that what the Greeks liked in Homer cannot be appreciated by us in England. Similarly, Chaucer belonged to the infancy of English poetry, and it is absurd for people of later ages to find fault with Chaucer's rude verse. So, these are the details about John Dryden and his view on other authors. Dryden, being a pioneer of textual criticism, is seen in his in-depth analysis of Ben Jonson's play The Silent Woman. I repeat, Dryden's being a pioneer of textual criticism is seen in his in-depth analysis of Ben Jonson's play The Silent Woman. Thank you.